Hello, today we are honored to get to interview Father Frank Pavone, the National Director of Priests for Life. Welcome, Father.
Hi, it is great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, it's our pleasure. Father, you have been denouncing the hypocrisy of this US president and the voting records of Democrats. How has that affected your life?
Well, it has, first of all, given me a lot of peace of mind and to be able to do what in conscience I need to do and what everybody really needs to do, especially in the church, when we see someone who is literally attacking the freedom of the church, attacking the sanctity of life, denying fundamental moral principles that the church upholds, and claiming at the same time to be a faithful member of the church. This should offend, and I know it does offend, people who are trying to live their faith. Think about all the many people that are making sacrifices each day, so many of our viewers, to live their faith, and then they see people in public life wanting the benefits of being known as a Catholic and then throwing the faith out the window. So this has gained for me a lot of support and encouragement from across the nation, around the world, actually, and across the church. And it's also gotten some people upset who want to maintain the status quo, who think that the biggest virtue in politics is just keeping everything at peace and, civility. I don't think the greatest virtue in politics is civility. I think the greatest virtue in politics is truth. And faithfulness to the truth, and that's why some people have tried to criticize me, or some in the church have even tried to restrict my work and punish me for speaking out what they say is too political. But here's my position: when the church looks at a political party or leader who is destroying the sanctity of life and the freedom of the church, and we speak up against that, that's not the church being political. That's the church being the church.
I understand. Father, you have been canceled, and I want to ask you how concerned should we be with censorship in our nation? And do you have an advice on how to fight this battle?
Yes, and it is very consistent with what we were just saying, what you were just asking me, that we simply have to keep speaking the truth. As you say, that they have been some in the church, and I emphasize some because we have a lot of support, and even Pope Francis has encouraged me in my work, and many cardinals and many bishops. That's why we've been able to grow to become the largest pro-life ministry in the Catholic Church that is focused exclusively on ending abortion. But they have also recently said, oh, you can't function as a priest, in the Catholic Church. And this is just another example, as you rightly said, of the cancel culture. We see teachers losing their jobs, coaches losing their jobs, media personalities losing their positions. Well, the priesthood itself is not exempt from that. We have cancel culture happening in the church. We have the weaponization of otherwise legitimate procedures and institutions being used against political enemies. What we need to do in the midst of all of this is, first of all, we need to be at peace. Let the peace of Christ fill us, as long as we know that we're doing what is right. I mean, the first thing we do if we face an effort to cancel us, we have to examine our own conscience and see, is there anything that we have done wrong, or that we need to correct in our own behavior. But then once we are at peace with our own conscience and we know we are speaking and doing what is right, we need to continue speaking and doing it. And we need to focus on the work to be done. I think of St. John Bosco. He had a saying. He said, do good and let the birds sing. There will always be birds singing. There will always be critics around us. There will always be people trying to block our path. But we can accomplish anything if we are willing to sacrifice anything in the act of accomplishing it. That's the secret. If we're determined enough and we focus on the work that needs to be done, and we focus on the support that we have, get together with like-minded people, encourage one another in the task, we'll be able to counteract any effort to cancel us.
Okay, Father, I have a question. How can you summarize the legacy of Pope Benedict?
Truth and charity. He wrote some very, very powerful documents about truth, about charity, and also about hope. This was a man who is known for upholding the truth of the faith, for saying that truth matters. It's
Mhm.
not something we all create ourselves, but for showing that truth and charity are not opposites. You don't choose the one or the other, but that you are indeed exercising charity when you proclaim truth. And when you are exercising charity, you provide truth to the people that you love, because that's part of loving them. I think that, in a nutshell, is a great part of the legacy of Benedict XVI.
Okay, and one final question. How can anybody in good conscience vote to limit medical access to survivors of an abortion? We're talking about babies here.
That is a very good question, because just recently we had a vote in the United States House of Representatives, which, as you know, is now under Republican control, pro-life control, a vote on a bill that the Republicans have been trying to get a vote on in the last two Congresses, to expand protection for babies who survive abortion. To vote against that, as every Democrat in the House just did, except for one, they voted against not the killing of these babies. They voted against the protection of these babies. These are not babies in the womb. This is not about the so-called right to abortion. This is about babies outside the womb, totally separated from the mother's body, and they don't want to protect them. There's no way to justify doing that in conscience. It's not even a question of what is our Catholic faith or what is the Christian faith. It's about being human. It's about being a civilized nation, and rather than barbarians. It boggles the mind. It's so unbelievable that many of our citizens can't even believe that it's true, that it's happening, but it is. These babies are surviving abortion and then being killed. Various states document it, and there are also federal statistics about it. People can learn more about this at a website called bornalive.us. Bornalive.us. We've put that together to trace the activity that's going on here. But thank you for bringing that up, because it truly is. If there's any sign of our moral decay today, and if there's any sign also of the evil that the Democrat Party has allied itself with, it's this vote about of this vote of so many of them saying we don't even want to protect babies born alive.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, Father. We really wish you luck. We follow you on social media, and I think we need more influencers speaking about values and principles that matter to all of us, no matter what your ideology is. Everybody should be guided by some sort of moral values and principles. So, thank you very much again.
You're most welcome.